Oh, yeah. Right here, right now, this is Black Power Media, and this is no other than the Remix Morning Show, coming to give you that boom bap breakfast. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and let me introduce you to your host. We got no other than Burn It Down, Kim Brown, and Kamal K. Franklin. Hey.
Sorry.
A mood, baby. That's a whole mood right there. That's that Miami bass, right?
You know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like every song from Miami.
For real. Hey, and when I moved down to Florida, the first time I heard this stuff, I just seen brothers just standing there leaning against the wall while the women did all the work. I was like, I like Miami bass music. It was like reggae, how he just stand there and then the girl do all that.
That's what I was about to say. Like,
Yeah.
how is that different from the Jamaican dance hall?
Facts.
I miss Miami bass a little bit. Big up to Uncle Luke out here, Luther Campbell, granddaddy.
Yeah.
Your granddaddy now? I don't know,
I'm
Luke.
sure he's a great granddaddy by now.
Oh.
He's great Uncle Luke.
I just see Luke, cocaine binge, boom, he gone, something like that. I might be getting that all up, but
yeah, you are. He's a pretty astute businessman, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you guys, I mean, of course, you got to be of a certain age to remember. But remember when Luke Campbell was kind of like, it was Luke, NWA, Ice-T were the main ones targeted by the FBI, by Tipper Gore, and the Puritan Brigade bunch, and putting the parental advisory stickers on albums. And I remember Bruce Springsteen actually was cool with Two Live Crew using the tune of Born in the USA to make Band in the USA.
Yeah. That was a
Good thing I
beautiful.
wasn't old then, because I might be subscribing to the band. I might be like, they do need a sticker on them. Yeah. Put a little sticker on them.
What did the sticker really do? Ear Doctor, you and me was sticker album age years old. What did the sticker do?
It did absolutely nothing. We still copped. In
fact, it probably made you look for it. You'd be like, only grab the ones with the stickers on them.
That's right. Yes.
Man, that Miami bass was something, boy. And it, like you said, it was a big movement in hip hop. What Uncle Luke did with Miami bass, and it being like, it's almost like a combination of Africa Bambaataa type music with like that bass, that boom, 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 boom. It's like a mix of old school hip hop with, I don't know, something. Big up to Chianti. Did I get that right? Sealy, $2 for Kamal being back.
Yeah, it's the start. It's a wave. It's a wave of money coming.
Look at that.
I was out sick. You know what I'm saying? For those who didn't know, who missed me, I'm sure in fact, I took some notes because I watched, when I was in bed. So I have some commentary for the Remix Morning Show. If y'all want to hear a couple of things.
Oh, please do.
So, I don't know if Coco's in the chat yet, if she's coming on.
She might.
But can she stop with the Darth Vader look?
I want you to leave Coco alone. I want you to leave Coco alone.
It's a little too dark for the morning. That whole black background thing, it's a little bit too dark. It's a little bit too dark. You had the same vibe. Yeah. Okay, we with each other.
No.
She's not saying too much because she knows.
You just come on here bombing on people. I don't appreciate that. Coco, don't listen to them. Ain't nothing wrong with your background, sis.
I'm just saying.
What else you got there on your notes?
Well, I think some of the there was one day where host came on for like 35 seconds and then popped off. Host should have to stay on for a minimum of an hour, otherwise they shouldn't make themselves available for the day. Let's just that there. There seemed to be some more technical issues in terms with the opening. I don't know what happened. There was some switch ups. But,
what happened?
We got it all fixed.
Y'all figured it all out? Okay.
Yeah, we figured it all out.
No.
But this is that. Like me and Kim, though, we are part of a new trend.
Oh, what is this?
Look, why is she on Kim?
She wasn't informed.
I know, she's like.
You never know what Kamal's about to say. So
no, and in fact, you're wearing the appropriate colors. We call it the blue sky trend. The blue sky trend. Ain't that the new thing?
new social media platform, an alternative to Twitter. It's called Blue Sky. I'm on it. Kamal's on it. It's some other. It's mostly like a lot of lefty people, media folks, especially organizing folks, especially. I don't know. I mean, I'm on it. I don't know what to say about it. It's just another thing to check now.
This is like Twitter, yeah. I mean, it's as much as is my mic not on? People say my mic not on. Is it on?
No, it ain't. But
damn.
we're so used to it. I mean,
know,
maybe
right.
during the break. This for people that's just coming and they're like, oh, that's how you get down. Yeah.
I'm impressed that you guys know the difference when Kamal's mic is on and off. So
Oh
good for
no,
y'all.
somebody in the chat room said.
No,
How's
that's
it
what
now?
I'm
How's it now? It's on now, right? It's on now.
It's on now. Look at
There you go. Thank you, chat. I mean, y'all need to mind your business, but I appreciate you.
says the end. Who got advice for everybody?
You know how that is. You tell everybody else to mind their business except for you. That's how that works.
Use that $2 and get your mic turned on.
I know that it took $2 to get it on. But I was going to say, like, as much as I try to stay out of the whole social media, whatever, it is a problem. Like the Elon Musk stuff just becomes it's just more and more of a, it's just like, oh God, I can't take it that I want that this dude is controlling this and I'm on it, So slowly, little by little, I was like, okay, what's this Blue Sky thing? And it's like, yeah.
The other alternative to to Twitter was something called Master P Dune. I don't know what it was called.
Master P.
The chat folks know what it is. I never even bothered to download that thing. Like I'm like, y'all, this is too many things.
Yeah, they said it was too. Yeah, but this one is not that bad. I mean, it was started by the dude at Twitter, Jack Dorsey. It used to be owned by Twitter, so maybe there's a less of a threat of them coming back and suing them. Since it looks just like Twitter, except it's a little slower at this stage. No videos, a couple of things are missing, but I can see it slowly being as Elon Musk becomes more overtly unhinged and platforms more right-wing people to the center of Twitter. I can see it being like this other alternative spot once it gets fully launched. So yeah, I was like, all right, let me check that out. Somebody gave me a code. I was like, let me check that out.
What's the sell on it though? As in, like, what is it different? How does it?
It's the same damn thing.
It's not owned by Elon Musk. It's not
owned by Elon Musk. It's the difference.
Okay, and then it's new. It's just something.
And it's new. Yes, so it's one of those things that everybody's getting. And you can. It's right now. It's only invite only.
Oh, see, that's how they get people. Like, I didn't get an invite. So
otherwise, you got to sign up for the mailing list. They got I heard they got like over 1 million people signed up on the mailing list, waiting for it to become open for anybody and I think it's open platform. I think that's the right term. So I think you can kind of play with whatever you can play with and make it a little different than what yours is. Some bullshit like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's all the emails I get. They keep trying to invite me on. I've seen it.
I don't know. Yeah, Blue Sky, whatever it's whatever. You get something called Blue Sky.
Yeah. So Twitter is a wasteland. Like I heard that Elon Musk is offering Tucker Carlson an opportunity to host his show directly on Twitter. And the rumor is that Tucker is going to forego tens of millions of dollars as part of his non-compete clause with Fox News in order to move into this Twitter space a lot quicker. That's what I said. I said he gonna forego 20 mil.
He not doing that. He's just trying to get them to end it early. He's like, look, if you're not going to have me on, let's come to another agreement that don't lock me down or whatever. So I think right now the stuff he's doing on Twitter supposedly is free, as in he's not getting paid by Twitter to do it. But I think, slowly but surely, and he's going to claim a First Amendment right to be able to express himself. So slowly, but he's a negotiating stance. He ain't giving up their whole rack. Even though Elon could give him a rack if Elon wanted to, he's not giving that up unless he's got some other guarantees on the table already. So yeah.
Free speech.
Well, it is about time to get into our first break. Thank y'all for all tuning in. First, we got to go ahead and give a shout out to our new members here. We got a couple of new members. We got Oforiwa. I think I said that yesterday. Yeah,
I think so why are you repeating it?
Well, because I got to give a big up.
Adia.
Yes. Big up to Adia.
Welcome.
So all our new people, keep telling people to come on in, be a part.
I saw yesterday y'all had Abby O'Doon who signed Abby Henderson. a local organizer here, started Gangster the Growers. I saw she became a member. Like, what's up, Abio doing?
All right. Well, that's
I be hearing there's a lot of folks in the chat, but they don't always write. You know what I mean? We got regulars who do most of the writing, but there's like always folks who's like, oh no, I'll be in there, but I don't like to write in the chat.
Hey, you know what? Come on, I appreciate on your while you was in your sick bed that you was still watching the show, man. That means a lot.
I know. I took notes.
Notes, exactly. He was watching so he could come around and pop shit later. He was watching. That's why he was watching. Hey, and big up, y'all. We crossed that 25,000 subscriber threshold. Quiet as it's kept. So we have exceeded 25,000 subscribers here at Black Power Media. Remixes is all because of y'all, and us, of course. But thank y'all so much for being here and for spreading the word and making people aware about the platform.
And do y'all see now when it's Black Power, it has to happen on Black Power Media. Angela Davis is on Black Power Media. Y'all see all that on Black Power Media.
Community movement builders moving some things. I see you brought up on the platform. That was dope. So check that out if y'all ain't see it. It came on Monday. Go ahead and check that out again. With that said, let's go ahead to our first break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. All right. Welcome out. Once again, this is the Remix Morning Show. Please make sure y'all hit that like button and subscribe button and share it. Tell somebody about it. Tell a friend every Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's where y'all need to log in and check us out. All right. With that said, we are talking about 50 years of hip hop. Let me do another artist segment and give some spotlight to no other than an artist straight out of the A. He goes by, since we talk about bass music, let's talk about Kilo Ali. That's right, Kilo Ali. In case you didn't know, let me tell you about him. Also known as Andrell Rogers, born right here in the A. He recorded mainly bass music, Miami bass style. But coming out of the A, you had So Def and Jermaine Dupri doing the Miami bass style music too. Now, it had a nice southern flavor. One of the tracks y'all might know is Show Me Love and Baby, Baby, and Love in Your Mouth. That's right. He released it in 1997 on Interscope. He had artists like George Clinton, CeeLo of Goody Mob, Big Boy of Outkast, JT Money, all on this album. 2011, he was released from prison after serving 6 years of 15-year sentence for arson. And he got out, and then he wound up suing a younger rapper for copyright infringement on one of his songs, Love in Your Mouth. But like I said, he has over 8 albums. So check him out if you can. Straight out of the A, Kilo Ali. All right, let's get back to our crew. You know how we do right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you say his song was Love in Your Mouth?
Yes. Somewhat similar to Akinelli. Put it in your mouth.
I need a moment.
We had some pretty vulgar songs there back in the 90s.
So vulgar, dog. I'm telling you, it's with such shame. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm all against misogyny and all that, dog. If you drop Put It in Your Mouth on right now, so his hands in that.
You can every drip drop though, you wasted.
I'm trying to tell you. Oh, for all the youngins out there, your aunties used to get down in the club. We used to have good times dancing to all the nasty records.
Word. I never heard of that dude. I mean, I know I'm not the hip hop head. Everybody wants me. Everybody
Yeah,
You know, everybody else is, but
content
You know
$5.
Akinelli, man. First of all, I think Akinelli.
What? That was what you just did?
Nah, he don't
Oh,
know Kilo
no.
Ali.
Kilo
No,
Ali,
yeah.
my bad. I was about to say,
You know Kilo Ali?
No, I do not know.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, I'm not familiar,
You
unfortunately.
know the songs, though.
What's that?
Nasty dancer, dancer for money. Do what you want me to.
Isn't that the Turner song?
I don't know none of that. I don't know that.
That's Kim's go-to dance right there. Music song, come on.
That's my chair dance for the Miami bass. All I'm doing is just doing little punches, but what is that? Yeah, so no, I'm not familiar with the brother. I'm sure he's an outstanding MC though.
Yeah. He actually came out with a song called Cocaine, where he talked about the downfall of cocaine coming into the community. So he got some other songs. Yeah, he got a nice little range of music, but definitely basically.
Does he deserve a spotlight for you?
For ATLians that know in the southern region, yeah, he's one of the kings of.
So for 4 people, you played that for 4 people?
No,
you highlighted him for like the 4 people who know.
Whoa!
I'm just taking more notes.
There's no problem. Listen, you had him. You had Raheem the Dream. Don't forget about him too. Raheem the Dream. And you had MC Shadi. You had Luke. You had a number of people that was doing it back then. You just
okay.
I be knowing DJ Magic Mike, all y'all out there. I see y'all.
Okay.
All right. With that said, that is your artist spotlight for the day. I'll go ahead and get up out of your way.
Don't leave us.
Don't go. It will ruin my whole world. All right. I'll catch you on the next break.
Oh, he's singing New Kids on the Block. Wow, Air Doctor, you pulled it out.
He's got a huge, I mean, I that is something. He does have a huge musical, I don't know, range in which to draw on within hip hop mostly.
And black music. Air Doctor, put this in your notes. Maurice Starr Jr., I think is the Maurice Starr, the guy who discovered both New Edition and New Kids on the Block. Do a spotlight on him one day.
I remember Maurice Starr. Yeah. He got sued a couple of times too.
I was curious whether or not he was stealing, but I don't know what the particulars were. But
no, but it's similar like the manager who takes like the 60% cut, but it's like a lifetime cut.
Hey,
you did a little what's her name? Was it Pebbles?
Yeah, yes, it was Pebbles. With TLC. Yeah.
TLC. It's like, let me take a little 60% cut of that money. Let's make it a little lifetime thing. Even if you got a new manager, I still get like 12% or some shit like that. So she was balling. She balled. Off of 2 hits. She had 2 good hits, a good marriage, and TLC. Her life was set, B.
Like, I don't see what else you got to do after that?
Nothing. I mean, spend somebody else's money.
She probably was going to be all right after divorcing L.A. Reid, but now she done sliced it up. But anyway, let's go ahead and move along and slap of that map, Air Doctor.
Slap the map.
Yes, y'all. Welcome to the BPM Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us today. Is today May the 11th?
Yes, it is. It is.
Go. Thursday, May 11th. This is a live show for those of y'all who know how we do on occasion. No, we live and it's live. It's not Memorex today. So it's Kim Brown, Kamal Franklin, the Ear Doctor in the cut. We may be joined a little bit later with some good sisters. Shout out to the good sis Coco. Big up to Sister Erica. They might be coming through to rock with us. Even though if I was Coco, well, I would come on here just to cuss you, Kamal. I mean, damn, I hope Coco come on here to cuss you specifically.
I was taking notes, so just giving note. I mean, it's for Erica too. When she comes on with the microphone, we got to just pay for her microphone.
Listen, then do it.
I've dropped cash for mics before for several people. I'll drop some cash for her microphone.
I just don't. I don't. I don't like your approach, man. I don't like your approach. I don't appreciate your approach out here. I'm sorry, Kamal. I'm sorry. Anyway, but we are very happy to see your beautiful, glowing, smiling face joining us today. The picture of health. You know what I'm saying? Look at
Glowing.
you.
I heard the glowing part. Is that like the background does look a little, I don't know. It looks a little like, I don't know, like cloudy, kind of goddish. Like I feel like I'm up in the clouds because the sun's going to come through the back any minute now.
Yeah.
But I do look good. I do look good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
A nice tone of yellow. You know what I'm
Guess
saying?
it's time for news.
Manila, something of the sorts. Kamal, do you have any story up front ready to go? Because
I do. You're going to send me some stuff too?
I am. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So I do. It's one of those historical stories that people like me like. But so a story that just recently came out was saying MLK's famous criticism of Malcolm X was a fraud, the author says. And this story is relating to, I guess, a critique from that was said to be from Dr. King to Malcolm X, which was relayed. It says the quote came from a famous, or came from a January 1965 Playboy interview with author Alex Haley, a then 43-year-old Black journalist, and was the longest published interview King had ever conducted. Because of the sharpness of King's criticism, it has been repeated countless times and presented as the dividing line between King and Malcolm X. And it says, basically, I want to get to the actual quote.
I was always under the impression that the criticism was the other direction, that it was Malcolm who had all the smoke for MLK. I can't.
Oh, most definitely. No. I think they, just because of who King was, I think the fact that King said something meant it got probably repeated, particularly since I think since King at that time had far more sort of media takes or opportunities to speak in mainstream media. Once King said something, it probably got a lot more play than if Malcolm had said something. But you're right, Malcolm continually critiqued Dr. King and other preachers and so-called civil rights leaders of the time, usually calling them things like Uncle Tom's and other things and stuff like that. And so yeah, so it says Malcolm. It says they're going to get to the quote in a little bit, but it says Haley's legacy has been tarnished by allegations of plagiarism and historical inaccuracies in his most famous book Roots. But this latest finding may open more of his work up to criticism, particularly the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told by Alex Haley. It says Malcolm X, a member of the Nation of Islam, has frequently attacked King and his comments on nonviolence, even calling King a modern-day Uncle Tom. But his criticism often had a strategic purpose, said Eeg. Eeg is the person who said he found that this other quote by King was erroneous. It says, by acting as a foil for King, his message had more media value. King also sometimes saw value in resisting Malcolm, but I think at their core, they had a lot in common. So I just want to get to the bad little quote. Where's the quote at, B? I just had the quote. Where's the quote? Don't be giving me a talk while I find the quote.
Damn, my bad, dog. I mean, I'm interested to hear
there it is.
what was. Here we go.
You can stop talking.
Okay, go ahead.
King's harshest and most famous critique of Malcolm X, in which he accused his fellow civil rights leader of the fiery demagogic oratory, seemed to have been invented. And I so basically calling Malcolm a demagogue is said to be the famous criticism which this writer is disputing was ever said in the first place and suggesting that Alex Haley made it up in a quote.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I had heard plagiarism accusations against Alex Haley. I mean, but was he going like that? Like, would he simply make up a quote?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I'm looking. Yeah, it says on page 60 of an 84-page document, Haley asked Dr. King Would you like to say something about the outspoken former Black Muslim Malcolm X? And King replies, I met Malcolm X, but circumstances did not allow me to speak to him for more than a minute. I totally disagree with many of his political and philosophical views, from which I understand. He's very articulate, as you say. I don't want to sound like I feel so self-righteous or absolutist that I think I have the only truth, the only way. Maybe he has an answer, but I know I've wished so many times that he wouldn't talk about violence, because I don't think violence will solve our problem. And in the litany of expressing Negro desperation without offering a positive creative approach, I think he gets into a rut at times.
Yeah. and that was sort of the line of demarcation between Malcolm and Martin, was the calls for violence versus non-violence.
Well, the calls for self-defense. I mean, to be proper for Malcolm. Malcolm called for self-defense. He called for Black folks being able to defend themselves, like not only against white racists, but against the police, against the state. That Black folks had a God-given right to not necessarily turn the other cheek, and that asking a society that was amoral, or had no morals, or had bad morals, to somehow fix the problem that it created simply by suggesting that if they understood that we were human, was a mistake in both strategy and tactics, and would leave a lot of Black folks dead. So Malcolm was more on that tip. And I do think that, people say a lot that there was like similarities, and obviously there were, but there were definitely differences in the ideological outlook and obviously approach, as we just spoke about, via Malcolm and Martin. I do think there were overlapping political views also that they had. Obviously, Martin, as he got into 1967, 68, and his talking more about U.S. imperialism, talking more, being overtly they both were anti-capitalist, although I would say Martin probably had a more defined ideological position as being a socialist, something he obviously didn't talk a lot about publicly, but he did say in a couple of his writings that he was. Malcolm, particularly towards the end of his life, was far more anti-capitalist, but never claimed socialism as much as the socialists would like to say he did, but he never claimed that as an ideological position. He claimed Black nationalism. And then there was another story in another writing that claimed at some point that he moved away from that. But obviously, based on his statements, even up until the time of his assassination, he still was on the trajectory of creating Black organizations, Black institutions, and still wrapped the form of Black nationalism. So,
do you think it's important in 2023 to, I guess, saying to dispel the animosity between Malcolm and Martin? I mean, because there was, at least slight antagonism, right? Like, I don't think it was all out beef, but it was lots of points of contention and disagreement. But do you think people have a romanticized ideal, for those who don't know the history, that Malcolm and Martin was somehow together? Like, I'm trying to figure out what do we do with this information modern day?
I think for me, it's important, as in folks still use both Malcolm and Martin particular purposes. Dr. King has always flown in our faces, even when the Stop Cop City movement. When the cops do a video of Cop City, there's the statue of Martin. So there's always a place where Martin is held as unfairly to him as the good Negro who went about making changes the right way. And it leaves out, basically gives us the 1963 version of a Martin Luther King, which leaves out his radicalism, leaves out, again, his socialism, leaves out his anti-imperialist statements. All of that leaves out his critique of American democracy and so forth. The harshest parts of the critique, what it basically says is that he saw wrong. He non-violently, very important to say non-violently, continually over and over again, fought to make change. And that's the way in which you go about doing it. And anything else outside of that paradigm that's set for you, you're doing something illegal, immoral, or that should land you in jail, and you're not doing it the right way. So I think it's important, because if you attempt to dispel the inaccuracies in who Martin was and how he's projected onto us, then you can do a lot to reclaim a lot of the stuff that Martin was doing, what he stood for, that some of the tactics that he used, which would fit into some of the scenarios that we're involved in, and maybe some we would throw out, but there's a lot to learn from it. And I think it helps reclaim somebody and again, use that legacy for radicalizing and politicizing people, as opposed to having it being used to subdue people into a certain way of fighting for rights, which really only protects the people who already have the money and the power and the military arm to subdue us anyway. So,
and what was the year that this interview was published?
January 1965, basically 5 months before Malcolm was assassinated. And as we know, Malcolm's birthday, no, not even 5, I'm sorry, a month and a half from Malcolm's assassination. Malcolm was assassinated in February 21st of 65. But as folks know, Malcolm's birthday is coming up in 8 days, anniversary of Malcolm's death, which was May 19th, 1925.
Can this also be looked at as two different paths to liberation? Like, as in looking at Martin and Malcolm as, okay, they took two different paths to liberation. There's two different ways to get to somewhere for like the youth of the day. Like, all right, there's not just one way. We can come together. No, not like that.
No. I said that half in jest, but I also say it as in there's obviously different strategies and tactics that people use. But I do think a lot of times people suggest that that if you do something that is good enough to get you on the path to fighting for freedom and liberation. And a lot of times, again, the folks who are telling you that are telling you to take a certain method and path, which has nothing to do with liberation, even if they're using the language of liberation. So I think we always have to be careful if we don't analyze what folks were doing and what they were trying to do. And at some point, I think Dr. King broke from even his past views around strictly trying to integrate within the United States, and instead trying to challenge the economic order of the United States, i.e. his last particular acts in terms of supporting the sanitation workers in Memphis, the planning for the Poor People's March in DC, which was basically a strike, where he was bringing people to live in tents, to stay on state property, and to stay there and to basically have a strike in the nation's capital, right? And those kind of militant tactics definitely are things that I think at some point a Martin and a Malcolm could have agreed strategically. They might have had some differences around, whether or not when the cops come, what do? Do you just like lay down and get arrested? Do you stand up and do something more overtly militant? I think Malcolm also preached doing strikes. He said that part of the March on Washington that was important was in its first iteration was that folks were talking about shutting DC down. People, he said, for real militant action, you can go to the airports and shut the airports down. Like that, when people go to docks and shut the docks down. Like if you have to do something to interfere with commerce, in the ways in which things operate, to really have a chance at bringing about some real change and or showing the power of street action to halt the capitalist operation from taking place. So there are definitely things that they had in common at that particular time. But when folks tell you that the path is that there's 2 or 3 or 4 paths, it's like there's different tactics and strategies, but they have to be used together. Otherwise, you're just basically being played off of each other.
From a hip hop point of view, this comparison always gives me Biggie Tupac vibes. You know what I'm saying? The radical and the more commercial. You know what I mean?
Who is a radical?
Yeah, that's my
Tupac.
question.
Biggie.
No,
Biggie was far more radical
right,
than
I said neither.
I'm just joking.
All right.
Tupac had his moments, but then Tupac, like people who
Gemini energy, you know what I'm saying?
I gotta be like that.
It's keep your head up, and then how do you want it? It's like, is it Uchiwali? Is it one mic, Pac? Which one is it? That was always my issue with Pac. It's like, I'm sorry, do you love me or you want to slap me? I don't know what's going on.
I think Pac got caught. I mean, people who Pac for a while was part of obviously New African formations. And so I'll say I got to talk to people who worked directly with Pac. I never met the dude or whatever. But some folks who have said to us is like, he really got caught up. So it was a case of like, like you said, one day he's radicalized and he's feeling like he's doing something, but he also was like enjoying the fame, the gangster lifestyle. And a lot of folks said he didn't necessarily believe that he was going to live all that long. So he's playing a particular role. So I do think he got caught up in terms of that kind of like street life, or like, I want to be gangster, and whether or not he was going to sort of follow the traditions of his mother and the people around him who were radicals and revolutionaries. I think there was sometimes I'm this and sometimes I'm that.
I mean, can you sign to a label called Death Row and put out like really conscious music?
I think
it was an act.
Yeah, well, yes, because Brenda's Got a Baby predates his Death Row era,
and he had a lot of conscious music before he got down with Digital Underground and stuff like that. While he was with Digital Underground, he was walking around with X Clan and stuff, going to schools, talking to students and stuff. So and
if you hear interviews with Pac, Pac would say some mad. Pac was obviously a very, very smart dude.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear some interviews when he sort of broke down the situation of what America was like, or why certain targeting of Black folks, but at the same time, he was living another life at times, or doing some other things, because he got, again, in my estimation, outside looking in, it was like a dude just got caught up and could not figure out a way out of it, or maybe enjoyed it so much that he didn't want to, or maybe he thought, like many people do think, that if I live this lifestyle, do these things, I bring this crew over to do ABC. But when you're doing it, you forget about the ABC part. You know what I mean?
All right.
No, his political consciousness always came through more so when he spoke, as opposed to in his music, to be honest. Like Pac was always dropping radical gems in interviews, more radical gems, I think, than even that he put into his song lyrics.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I just wanted to come in for that quick moment. I'll let y'all get back to the news.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you, Air Doctor. Hey, gang. Like us on here. Give the video a like, a thumbs up. We appreciate y'all coming through. We're less than 25 people away from getting us a Ear Doctor mix at the end of the show. So send out some texts. You know what I'm saying? Tell everybody to get their notepads out, take notes, take their critical notes like Kamal's been doing on his sick time. So anything. Yeah. So we appreciate y'all being in here. I sent you an email, brother Kamal.
Which one you want to pull up first? I got them all open for you.
Let's go with, do you have Angela Also Brooks up? It's a bit to Twitter. Yeah. So it was announced last week that incumbent Maryland Senator Ben Cardin would not be seeking re-election for his Senate seat. This is a rare opportunity for the seat to change hands. And so many local politicians have already put their hat in the ring. And one of them happens to be Prince George's County Executive Angela Also Brooks. Angela Also Brooks would be the only Black woman so far announced in the race. And I just wanted I want y'all to meet Angela Also Brooks real quick. We're going to play the video.
Flee, South Carolina.
Oh, Jesus. How long is this?
1956. A Black man is accused by a sheriff's deputy of driving drunk. But when a witness attests to the fact that the driver was experiencing a seizure, the deputy is left embarrassed and vows revenge. The deputy confronts the Black man and shoots the man in the stomach, leaving him to die on the side of the road. That man was my great-grandfather. And within a few weeks of his murder, my mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother were also threatened and were forced to flee South Carolina. Here in Maryland, they found a fresh start. And although my great-grandmother had every reason to be bitter, instead, she told me, if you don't like something, you go farther and you do better. I'm Angela Also Brooks, and I've spent my life trying to live up to my great-grandmother's words. As a prosecutor, I stood up for families, taking on some of Maryland's worst criminals while treating victims and the accused with dignity and respect. As a mom, I understand the need to prepare our children for the jobs of the future, as well as the many other challenges parents face today. And as the executive of Prince George's County, I've focused on growing economic opportunity because I know rising costs on everything from housing to gas to groceries have put pressure on everyone, But that's not what Washington focuses on. Instead, they spend their time looking for ways to prevent women from making their own healthcare decisions. They refuse to pass basic voting rights protections, and they demonize anyone who thinks differently, refusing to work together to improve people's lives. Look, I get it. There aren't a lot of people like me in the U.S. Senate. People
Everybody's
who live
like
like,
you.
who think like, and who look like the people they're supposed to represent. I'm running for Senate to be a voice for families like the ones I grew up with here and who I've worked for throughout my life. Join me in this campaign, because just like my great-grandmother said, we can go farther and we can do better.
Now, so a little bit about Angela Also Brooks that I know, because she did mention there that she used to be a prosecutor, which she was. She was the state's attorney for Prince George's County. Some of the positive things that she did while she was prosecutor was she went very hard at domestic abusers. Like, there was several incidents while she was state's attorney in which Black women were murdered horrifically by their partners. So like that was one of the tenets of her tenure there as state's attorney, that she went really hard at domestic abusers of women and children. So I'm like, oh, I like that. Now, what I don't like, she is also part of the collection of the Black misleadership class here in Maryland, who is advocating for the FBI headquarters to be built right here in PG County. Now, you know, I don't like that shit, Kamal. Now, in terms of who else is in this race so far, let's be clear, like, this is going to be a democratically held seat. There is no chance that a Republican is going to capture the seat at all. It's just about which Democrat is going to get it. When she said that there's nobody in the Senate like her, she means that there's nobody Black in the Senate. The Senate, did y'all notice there's no Black people in the U.S. Senate? That must be an accident. Must be an oversight. But there's no Black people in the Senate, so she wants to be.
Or no Black women.
Oh, that's right, Tim Scott. Like I said, no Black people.
Oh, there's no. What's the name from here too? The Reverend.
That's right. God damn, Warnock.
Yeah.
God,
Warnock.
I'm just.
Well, I mean, the numbers. You're not. I mean, the numbers are always low. If you got more than 2 Black folks in the U.S. Senate, then it's almost like it's almost like we taking over kind of shit. Like we're taking over language. So you're not wrong.
Hey,
it's 0 to 2 is usually the limit. So
that's those old slave codes, right? 2 or more Negroes equals a congregate. That's a gang.
That's a gang, dude. That's a gang.
Got to separate them. So in addition to Angela Also Brooks, again, she's the county executive, previous state's attorney. Does she have a resume to be a senator? Sure, why not? Her opponents so far include Montgomery County Councilman Will Jawando, who by Democratic standards is a progressive, let's say that. A Maryland Congressman David Trone, who is a multimillionaire who actually spent $40 million on his congressional campaign. Kamal, he pulled $40 million out his ass to run for Congress, dog. Like, what? What kind of money are you sitting on? You got 40 mil to blow. But David Trone, let's talk about Congressman Jamie Raskin. You guys have seen Raskin. He was prominent in the whatever the fuck Trump investigation hearings or whatever. So it's going to be a crowded field for this Maryland Senate seat. There was talk of former Governor Larry Hogan running as the Republican candidate. An opponent, he said he's not interested. And yeah, he right about that. Don't even do that, Larry. So that's it. And
I don't know much. I don't know anything about this Angela woman. So, but let me just say from the video. So when you use your great grandfather's killing by the police, got shot in the stomach, was it?
Yes.
As your opening dialogue to "We Could All Get Along," I have huge. And that's the exact dialogue of like the Dr. King, Malcolm X thing, going back to the first story of like, so if you forgive and you don't talk and you become a prosecutor, like that was the lesson you learned from the fact that your grandpa or great grandpa was basically lynched, is that I should be a prosecutor, or I can use this story as the first initial story for my run as a Senate to show that I got bona fide. I've been oppressed too. My family has a history of being oppressed. But look, I can now rise and I can reach across the aisle, or I can forgive. That's the lesson that we've learned from that.
You know who she considers a friend and mentor?
Who?
Our vice president, Kamala Harris.
Of course. Well, of course.
Her, Kamala, good buddies.
Yes.
And I think that's going to work against Angela when it comes to my vote. When it comes to my vote, you can't be cool with Kamala and expect me to vote for you. I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know. So yeah. But just as a historical moment, she is not the first Black woman to run for Maryland Senate. I believe, at least on the Democratic ticket. This was years ago. Donna Edwards was a congressman. She was actually my congressperson here in PG County. I believe the 4th congressional district. She ran for the nomination for U.S. Senate and was not endorsed by the Congressional Black Caucus. It was a stunner of a moment that the CBC would not endorse a Black woman allegedly in their caucus, instead quietly supporting her opponent, Chris Van Hollen, who went on to eventually secure the Senate seat. And I actually went to Donna Edwards's her losing party, I guess it was. She had it down in Lanham, and I have a clip of her. She was going in on the Democrats, but she has since changed her tune. She was stumping for Hillary in 2016, and is now very much a spokesperson for the Democratic Party. So she had to get tightened up.
Yeah,
but
they had to bring her back in. They better bring her back into the party. It'd be like, look, girl, just it's too much now. You want a future? You want a little good job? You want to do something? You got like lay off or whatever. Yeah. I just want to ask you real quick. So I assume Chris Van Halen is a white dude because I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that name alone, but I just want to make sure.
I love the Van Halen. Yeah, let's stay with that. Chris Van Halen. Yep, that's him. What about him? Yeah, he white.
I mean, just the fact that you mentioned that the Black Congressional Caucus would not, and I would not support the Black woman. I mean, I think it's like it's not this. It's more than the second or third time, 5th or 6th time that they've started to do that kind of thing, where they choose either a white incumbent or somebody who they've been told is more going to be more aligned with the politics that they want in there, like Angela from the earlier clip. And so it's like I'm going to fit Nina.
Nina Turner and Chantel Brown in Ohio. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yep.
Yeah, I was just like, and again, for all the faults of Nina Turner, she's far more progressive in her politics and was the front runner up until the Democrats, along with the Congressional Black Caucus folks, got behind the other candidate and undermined her candidacy, which shows you it's the status quo that they want, the pro-Biden that they want, and that's what they go for.
It's wild to see how Democrats will undercut their own, you know what I mean, in order to maintain that status quo, to maintain that center right agenda and tone that the Democrats are now known for. There's no left, there's no progressive. You know what I'm saying? You got to be pro-Biden, which equals pro-war, equals anti-immigrant, which equals, a lot of things with Biden. And yep. Chantel Brown is exactly that. Nina Turner, less so, but interesting. And again, that wasn't the only time, even in that election cycle, that we saw the Democrats go to the right to undercut a progressive candidate. I'm thinking about India Walton running for the mayor of Buffalo in New York. She was running, I think, as a Democratic socialist, and her opponent, she captured the Democratic nomination, and her opponent, who was themselves a Democrat, Byron Brown, anyway. So he got support from the right wing, the business establishment, and the establishment Democratic Party to defeat India Walton, because I guess she was too left. She was talking too much shit. So
he broke away in the general election. Because I remember that story. I remember following up until, the point where it seemed like she was going to be the mayor of Buffalo, right? It was it was almost like, there's like, it's like as a side thing, like, there's a Black woman socialist who's going to be the mayor of Buffalo because she won the primary. And I kind of lost track of the story. And then the next thing I know, she's not the mayor kind of thing. So I don't know if you know. Yeah. It's like, so was it he ran as an independent in the general election or something like that?
Yes, that's exactly crazy. What happened. What did he call it, everybody? He called it something silly like the Buffalo Freedom Party or something. It's like, okay. So there was a lot of painting India as a socialist, as a communist. She wants to defund the police and I remember on my show, we even covered those mayoral debates pretty extensively, and she held her own. Like, I was super impressed with India Walton as a candidate, but again, when it be your own niggas, when it's the machine, when it's the people that's, allegedly I won this nomination, y'all not gonna help me out. Oh, you gonna help out the dude I just beat? Wow. Okay.
That's crazy. And then and what happened to the squad folks? Because at some point they supposedly were supposed to be running left candidates to challenge the orthodoxy of the Democratic Party, or like you said, the moderate to right wing dominant faction of the Democratic Party. And all that seemed once they got disciplined by Nancy Pelosi, all that seemed to stop.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
It's wild. I know them girls regret that Rolling Stone cover. It was Ilhan, Rashida. Who else was on the cover? Ayanna Presley and Nancy Pelosi. Ooh, girls, y'all gonna have to live with that forever. Forever. How come y'all wasn't all rocking y'all kente cloths at the same time? I would have made it extra gangster.
Well, speaking of gangster,
damn,
I did it for you. So I did that for you.
Nice. But let me tell you, son, I too have a story about an elder. My elder back in the day was also taken out by police.
Oh no.
Yeah. Is this a family member right here? Is this like your grandfather?
This is a stock picture of an old man.
You know what?
But listen, I'm running for
you. Huh? Oh, he said he's running. Wait a minute. He said he's running for office.
What is the matter with you?
I'm running for my life.
You are going to be running for your life. You are going to be running for your life.
Because that man's grandchildren going to be waiting outside your house.
Like, you will be running for your life.
My papa.
I had all the sympathy tears ready for you, son.
You had it, yeah. Hey,
I was ready for it. I was. I bought it.
Y'all got mad silent and everything. I was like, damn.
Yes.
Well, actually, my Uncle Shirley did get killed by police back in the day. I never got to meet him. So I just wanted to start off with a story like hers.
But how come we couldn't have had a picture of Uncle Shirley, though, Doctor, instead of some red box like, man? What's going on?
Man,
I have to go to the bathroom. Can you just do a break?
That was so back in the day. It'd probably be... Yeah, it's one of them.
What, they didn't have pictures back in the day?
Nah, they chiseled. They chiseled pictures.
I'm mad at you, Ear Doctor, because you actually had our sympathy immediately, and for you to deceive us in such a way. Like, I actually feel some kind of way right now. I'm a little mad at you, to be perfectly honest.
Got him.
I'm with you. Goodbye. See you break. See you break. See you break.
Break right here. Remix Morning Show. Yeah. All right. Welcome out. Make sure y'all hit that like button. If y'all just getting up in here, we're going to have a mix at the end of the show that's going to be dope for y'all. So make sure y'all stay tuned. Right about, 9:55, we're going to get it on for y'all. With that said, we talking about 50 years of hip hop. Who would I like to talk about right now and put the spotlight on? No other than one of the pioneers of this hip hop. Grandmaster Caz. That's right. Grandmaster Caz, also known as Curtis Brown, coming straight out of Boogie Down, Bronx. That's right, also known as Casanova Fly. He's a rapper, songwriter, and DJ. He was a member of the Cold Crush Brothers back in 1979 through the mid-'80s. He's known for writing and penning the lyrics for Big Bank Hank's part on Rapper's Delight from the Sugar Hill Gang that came out in 1979. He actually got those lyrics. He passed them to Big Bank Hank and said, yo, here's some lyrics, and your boy Big Bank Hank took them, and he didn't credit him for these lyrics and went and got the money, and that was pretty dirty. But also what Grandmaster Caz does now is he does hip-hop tours around the Bronx and shows people, the history of hip-hop right now with a tour company in New York City. And he's also a board member of the Kennedy Center's Hip Hop Council, hip hop ambassador and board member of Windows Hip Hop, and CEO of GMC Entertainment. So like I said, he first got into this rap when he went into the block party that Kool Herc had. And after that, he formed a crew with DJ Disco Wiz, and they had their crew. One of the first DJs to also be an MC. Will pull both duties, because what happened is back in the day, the DJs would pull an MC out the crowd to say all the stuff on the microphone. But he was said, yo, I could do both. So big up to no other than Grandmaster Caz. If you want to go check out some of his work, he's been actually on Rock the Bells radio, rocking out, doing something with MC Shot Rock. That's right, from Funky 4+1. All right. So with that said, I just wanted to give you all a quick spotlight. He has numerous albums, as you can hear. This one right here, Weekend by Cold Cuts Brothers. They had like 4 albums. So please make sure y'all give respect due to one of our pioneers, no other than Grandmaster Caz. All right, now let's get out of here.
JDL. Well.
For politically and racially motivated. Okay, thank you.
Women fight for my delight because I'm the grandmaster with the 3 MCs. You know what I'm saying?
The house to the young ladies. I like how the young ladies.
The young ladies. That's how you had to do it back in the day. You know what I'm saying? You had to emphasize.
Word.
I didn't know he wrote Big Bank lyrics. I kind of knew that, but I forgot.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. He was like, yo, man, how? And he even said, he spelled out Grandmaster Caz's names in the lyrics of Rapper's Delight. Well, I'm the C-A-S-Z. Yeah, he just
he didn't even change it?
He did not change the lyrics at all. I'm like, dude, are you serious? But he was put on the spot by Sylvia Robinson at the time, like, yo, spit something. And he just spit rhymes from his boy and was like, all right. She was like, I love it. Let's do it.
I mean, what you going to do at that point? Point?
Go with it.
Exactly. I was like, I might have hit him off. I was like, yo, I'm gonna get you on that next album. Let's just do a guest appearance. Yo, just stick with me, son. I got you.
That was some foul. That was one of the first biters. Like if we was to get the term biters, that was one of the first in hip hop.
I know Jared feels a certain way, but I think Rapper's Delight though. Come on now, Rapper's Delight was like one of. I mean, it broke hip hop to another level.
It did. Yeah. It was a crossover from disco to hip hop, and they used it.
I mean, is that in dispute? What you say about Gerard?
I think Jared just feels like I don't want to speak for him, but I think he feels like it was so manipulated that hip hop could have went a different way, but people like Rapper's Delight was such a manufactured group and not like a real organic sort of hip hop group, and that it was sort of manufactured by Sylvia. So there's a certain direction about how Capitol kind of began. That was one of the moments where Capitol seized hip hop and began to potentially take it in a new direction. Now I'm speaking a little bit for him, but I think he has that view of it. And I'm just more like, as a kid, I was more like, yo, that shit is hot. That shit played on all the radio stations all the time. It broke it.
I mean, for an unproven new genre of music, I think we might can say that retrospectively, but in the moment, nobody knew that shit was gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could have flopped. What if DJs didn't play it? What if people didn't pick up on rap? Like, it could have went in a whole. It could have went nowhere. Is kind of is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much intentionality there might have been in terms of making sure that the genre went in a specific direction, because I don't know if anybody, it was unproven. Who knew it was going to do anything?
I don't know about Died in 82. You act like Self-Destruction came out before.
Who died in 82? What?
Well, I said hip hop died in 82. I just put it out there.
I wouldn't say that.
I was like, damn.
All the elements of hip hop, it's a lot of songs that still have these elements within hip hop. So
absolutely.
And y'all had that. Who's this group? Y'all had like the French dance group on the other day. Were you doing a highlight?
Yeah, less twins.
Yeah, I always feel like there's certain parts of hip hop. I mean, no offense to those still doing it.
Oh boy,
there's certain parts that you're right. Can I make my commentary? Please. It's important. It's important as the hip hop historian that I am. It's important that I say these words.
Okay.
There's certain parts of Black culture that Black folks just start to leave behind. And it's like a sort of innovators thing. Then there's always these other folks who sort of pick them up and keep running with them. Are like long past the value of their sort of significance within the sort of the culture themselves. And I'm like, why are people still breakdancing today? Except as a nostalgia type of thing. And I know folks who do it. They're gonna be people who mad at me, but I'm just like, is people really? It's almost like when white folks do jazz. It's kind of like, okay. Yeah.
I mean, Kamal, you do know breakdancing is an Olympic sport, right?
Yeah.
And why? And why should it be?
The whys and the what have
see
you.
You do a windmill, and then we'll
should it
talk
be an
about
Olympic
why
sport, though? Should it be an Olympic sport?
Isn't a windmill down there like what they do on the with the?
I'm just asking, should it be? So you're saying yes, it should be an Olympic sport.
I'm saying I don't have a problem with it being an Olympic sport. I mean, why not? What makes?
I mean, half that shit in the Olympics should be canceled out, don't you? I mean, isn't that like the gymnastics with the ribbon thing? The ribbon
that should be canceled.
Come on, come on. Why can't you just have the floor exercise? Now you gotta have the floor exercise, and you gotta hold a ribbon at the same time and spin it and shit like.
But listen, man, it's part of the see what happened to his internet. Is that just me?
Kim, I think you're with me. I'm not sure.
Anyway.
I'm here for the execution of high degree difficulty skills in whatever. If somebody can do some stuff that I could never do, I'm interested in watching it. So I don't even mind the ribbons. Don't mind the gymnastics ribbon. I think it's pretty, actually.
B-boying and B-girling is a form of dance, so stop playing and stop disrespecting it. All right,
my bad.
I'm out of here.
Anyway,
can I
do what you want, young man. That's fine.
I wanted. It's sort of a follow up to the story that you were doing on the Democrats, and so I just me, I don't like to make fun of people. I'm opposed to all that, but
since when?
So Senator Dianne Feinstein returns to Capitol Hill, cast her first vote since February. The 89-year-old California Democrat said she will be working a lighter schedule as she resumes her duties in Washington. I mean, I guess people just like, should this really be allowed?
So in terms of what, her competency?
Yes.
Okay.
At this particular stage, it says Senator Dianne Feinstein cast her first 2 votes in the Senate floor Wednesday afternoon, nearly 3 months after her absence on health issues. Upon arrival at Capitol Hill, she was assisted into a wheelchair and greeted by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Feinstein told reporters that she feels much better. She did not answer questions about why she decided to return or respond to calls from critics to resign. The 2 votes were the first Feinstein has cast since February 16th. She missed 2 votes that were held earlier Wednesday before she arrived, adding to the 91st floor vote she missed while she recovered from shingles, according to an NBC News tally. Feinstein said in the statement Wednesday afternoon, I think somebody wrote that statement and just said, hey, you approve this? I mean, I'm just saying. She's back in Washington and will be working a lighter schedule. And I'll stop at this. It says, even though I've made significant progress and was able to return to Washington, I'm still experiencing some side effects from this shingles virus. My doctors have advised me to work a lighter schedule as I return to the Senate. I'm hopeful those issues will subside as I continue to recover. So, my thing is, can you please just retire? I mean, why are we holding on until death do us part to these seats? I mean, it's a Democrat. It's some Democrat's going to be. It's a Democratic governor, so he's going to appoint another Democrat. So it's not like they losing this. Is this like what's the one, the Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg, right? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who refused to retire, even though it was obvious. People don't like to say that someone's on their deathbed, but if someone's close to be after 6 bouts of cancer. It's kind of like there's no reason knowing that seat's going to be retained by if you got this party loyalty and it's not all about you. Stop smirking at me, Kim. There's no reason.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Okay. I was like, I'm not wrong, right? I'm not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just smirking naturally. My bad.
Okay.
My facial expression is the smirk. My bad. It's not reflective upon anything that you're saying, but you're right. No, keep flowing, free. Keep going.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm like, I don't like. Can y'all? I'm not saying put somebody out the. I guess I am saying put him out the pasture because it just makes no sense whatsoever to me that someone who's not either mentally or physically capable should be holding on to that seat. Is maybe it's a pride issue. I don't know. I'm going to be bored at my house. But at some point, there's got to be something that says look, it's time for you to move on. And the people around you, instead of encouraging you to keep on coming back, it's like, it's time now. It's time. Where's her husband or kids or somebody who's like, I know it may make her happy, but it's not the kind of position where you should just continue on just because it makes your family member happy. You're supposed to be, I mean, you know, if it's, you're supposed to be running the government. And if you can't help run the government, you know, I may want it to crash and burn, but still in the theory of it all, if you're supposed to be running it and you're not capable of participating, then shouldn't someone help ease you out the door? That kind of shit. I'm just saying.
It's funny you even say it that way. I saw a thread this morning from a journalist, Ken Klippelstein, where he is calling out members of Dianne Feinstein's staff by name, saying that they are enabling the fall of this position. They say that they refuse to take any action regarding Dianne Feinstein's state of health, and Klippelstein even goes further to say, you know, that she has dementia, which is, I guess, noticeable. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, this is America, though, dog. Like, look, I mean, and we get it from the British. Like the British, like they like to keep their people in power, the eons and eons. And think about, I'm thinking of Robert Byrd. I'm thinking of Strom Thurmond. I'm thinking of some of them other geriatric gremlins that was just allowed to hang around in the Senate forever and ever and ever. And you could throw Biden right in there with them.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm not even trying to make it a one-party thing. I'm just pointing out because that but you're right. Your boy Strom Thurmond, I mean, he was like a bigot from the 1930s and he hung on. Right. In fact, he was he was the governor of South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, when my mama was down there.
Really?
Yes.
Damn.
When my mama was a kid, he was the fucking governor, if I'm not mistaken. Strom Thurmond was. And as racist as all racists could be, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and he got voted, obviously, he voted back in, over and over and over again. So,
do you think that America and the UK are different from kind of the rest of the West in that sense that, you know, that the politicians stay in power until they are very, very elderly, whereas Canada, France, you know what I'm saying, some of the other Western European countries, they are more likely to elect younger leaders sooner? Like, I mean, because I don't even know. I mean, fuck Macron all day, but like, he's youngish, yeah. Old girl, well, shit, listen to me, old girl. Angela Merkel, I mean, she wasn't 70 something when she left office. I don't know how old she was, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, well, I guess Rishi Sunak is not that old, but I'm thinking about the monarchy.
I think it ebbs and flows. I think we're in this period where the geriatrics are doing better. But you've had, I mean, Obama was relatively young. You've had the Kennedys.
Not all about that.
You've had time period. I mean, I think it's always tilted towards the older gets the benefit of the doubt. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I definitely think we're in this time period of like, literally the elder person for some reason seems, I don't know, safer, or that's who they're pushing for various reasons. But that's, and there's no break from that happening now. Like, you're about to have a contest between basically 80-year-olds, Trump and Biden, unless something, unless Biden dies on the campaign trail, or there's somebody else in the Republican Party who takes Trump's place, you're about to have a battle of the 80s coming up real soon. So,
again, that's nice. That's nice. So, speaking of Trump, there's a clip in your email there, Mr. Franklin, of Donald Trump's town hall last night on CNN. I have to say, didn't watch it, didn't tune in, and and part of the reason I didn't tune in is because I'm not here to help the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, a movie I've seen before, even prior to 2016. All of these cable news outlets and these mainstream news shows would routinely bring on Donald Trump, businessman, host of The Apprentice, and ask him serious political questions, basically platforming Trump as a legitimate political figure. And so, despite Trump this week being found guilty in a civil case surrounding a rape that occurred in the 90s, which he's been ordered to pay $5 million, despite him being indicted in New York City, arrested in New York City, booked in New York City. Aside from him being impeached twice, CNN says, Trump needs more legitimization. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give a whole town hall just to this unhinged motherfucker who helped to orchestrate the greatest coup or attempted coup at the U.S. Capitol since the War of 1812. So I didn't even watch this clip, so this is going to be a surprise to us all.
I know it's going to be hilarious. So
it's happening. But what happened is they took it down. I don't know why. I think they took it down because it was so good. They didn't like it being up there. I am asking, and we didn't know until I got it back, because now I have 90 million people waiting for me to go back, but I'm on truth and I'm staying on truth. Listen, I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violation. We want no violation. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. That was at 2:30. That was very early.
Mr. President, I looked at the same timeline that you did.
No, but you didn't report that. You know why? Because it was taken down.
We did report it. I was reporting that.
It was taken down and it wasn't.
But when it was
as it was happening.
So in reference to that,
what happened?
He's talking about his tweets. His suggestion thereby being that he was saying that he was not advocating for so-called violence at the Capitol that day. His claim was that he was advocating for a peaceful outcome. So that's what he was saying at that particular time.
Interesting.
So I did watch some of it because I just, you can't stop watching the car crash and shit like that. And the fact that this dude has support of, at the very least, 55% of the white folks in this country who support this guy over and over again is reason enough for me to pay attention to kind of the ill-formed, inarticulate, scary, half-ass opinions that he has. That, of course, within the crowd and the CNN, the moderator, one, from the platform, the person, two, to do it in such a way where they're so busy trying to show that they are that they're not letting him get away with his lies, but it comes off as you're constantly interrupting this dude, or you give him a platform and then you give him the opportunity to look good on that platform, because not only the moderation is as such, it looks like you are attacking somebody who you're supposedly giving a platform to, but then you have the friendly crowd aspect of it. So they are doubling down on everything that this dude says, even if they can't quite understand it themselves. But he literally has over 50%. I forgot what the actual numbers were of people who voted for him, but it was the most ever. He received the most, even though he lost, he received the most votes ever by a Republican in terms of that election. He is staunchly ready to be again the president of the United States, which again speaks to the conditions of this country and the fact that it's falling apart in front of our faces, right? So, this dude is really ready to be the next president.
Yeah, I'm gonna save my viewership for the debates, because I think that's where Trump really shines. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can buffoon it up all by himself just fine, but when it comes to playing the dozens against his Republican opponents, the Queens comes out. You know what I'm saying? Queens comes out, and I'm actually here for that very tiny sliver of Donald Trump when he starts giving it to these milquetoast candidates who don't know how to handle it. And it's wild. I wonder if these Bamas are going to be practicing playing the dozens in their debate prep, because you got to be ready to come back with insults against Trump, because Trump's going to insult the shit out of you, out of your wife, possibly out of your family. Like, I mean, you will. Yeah,
there are no. I mean, there's I mean, and again, I think this dude has broken a certain mode where you're right. Like, there's no limits to what he will say, and or with the expectations of what he would say to sort of remain dignified or remain in a certain establishment a biosphere of like, oh, this guy is someone who can be quote unquote respected in a normal way in which you would expect, right? I mean, again, like you said, the conviction or the losing of the jury verdict that just happened, unfazed. He was completely unfazed. He didn't offer as much of a like either not anything close to like an apology, which would be unexpected, but not even like I understand the concerns. People may be worried about this. I stand on the grounds that I did not do this act, this heinous act, which I was accused of. Nothing. He's just like, she's a loon. She's a nut. She's a crazy. Why would I ever? I don't even know who she is. And in the ways in which are just most is throwing this person under a bus and is taking apart any sort of humanity that they may have, and his audience applauds it. You know what I mean? It's like it's simply woke culture trying to attack.
You know what I read from Trump's response about this rape lawsuit is like Trump raped so many people he can't keep them straight. You know, I'm sure he doesn't remember her. She was just one of a bunch of faceless vaginas that he had to grab him by the pussy. You know what I'm saying? And do whatever he wanted to do. So yeah, I'm sure Trump is a prolific serial rapist. It doesn't shock me at all that he couldn't keep track of the faces of all his victims.
I think that's totally true. I think we're about to bring somebody up though. Your doctor's trying to get in there for that.
We still handle some things back here, but the force is strong with this next host.
The force is strong with this next one.
The force is strong.
No.
Are you going to bring her up or no? You're still trying to handle the technical difficulties.
I think. Are we ready? We got a thumbs up back there. No, we're not.
No,
ready.
Okay, my bad. I didn't mean. I just thought you were trying, so I wanted to give an opportunity because we were talking about
problem.
stuff.
I got you.
So yeah, I agree though. I look forward to the debates for and again the interesting the juxtaposition of the Democrats are the overt war party, and the mainstream establishment media is part of the overt war party or calling for war, and the weirdness of having the right wing Republicans for whatever reasons there's sort of America first stance. It's not like they're opposed to imperialism. They want to do it in a different way, but the ways in which they are saying, he was on the Ukraine invasion, how he was, again, giving some cover to like, hey, I want to solve this. I want to change this, which basically reads, I'm not going to continue to supply Ukraine with top-notch Western military weaponry, and that shit's going to drop if I become president. But there's a whole crowd of right-wingers who are for that, like non-U.S., in a sense, a kind of non-U.S. interventionist politics, as long as they feel it doesn't quickly erode U.S. empire. And so, in some ways, it's almost like they want to figure out a way to bring Russia into the fold still, as opposed to have Russia be an outsider. And I think that's part of the white supremacy ideological thinking around what Russia can mean in terms of being brought in the inside, as the United States has attempted to do several times, but in a way which Russia considered to be disrespectful, because basically it wanted Russia to maintain sort of a historical downgraded Eastern European connection to Western white supremacy. And after a while, Russia, post the breaking up of the Soviet Union and so forth, Russia began to reject. But I think part of the right wing non-establishment view on it is that they're still going to bring Russia in somehow, and part of that is saying we're going to look at this Ukraine war in a different way.
I mean, again, I know what their motives ultimately are, and I know it's ultimately to maintain American hegemony globally. But I do agree with them. Get the fuck out of Ukraine, dog. Get the fuck out of Ukraine. And I hate even superficially somewhat agreeing with conservatives on some issues because, like you said, I mean, sure, they're fine to withdraw American weaponry and financial support from Ukraine, but they will probably back somebody trying to overthrow Lula in fucking Brazil. You know what I'm saying? Like Trump would be all for that shit. Oh, reinstate Bolsonaro. Yup. Let's do that right away. Let's get right on that. So obviously we can't have no permanent points of agreement with these folks. But I don't know. Like, but from like a pro police perspective, Which party? They're both pro-police. It was funny in that clip for Trump to be like, we back the boys in blue. Sir, did you not see your supporters on January 6th beating the dog shit out of the police?
Well, and didn't he call some black cop a thug? I can't remember. I didn't get to see that part and what that was in relation to. I don't know if it was in relation to the January 6th thing or something else, but he actually, and this is the thing that the Republicans, the libertarian streak, they'll say some negative shit around the cops for their own purposes. Obviously it stopped short about anything to do with sort of black freedom or liberation or whatever. Like the cops can totally, anytime they want to, slam black people over the head.
Oh yeah.
But if it has anything to do with white people, then they get totally anti-police individually in their thinking and in their responses and so forth. So that's why even now and then you have our Marjorie Taylor Greene saying some shit about the FBI. And you're like, whoa, what just happened here? What just happened here? So there's a shifting. There's a shifting in some of those politics, which are interesting to see as the country disintegrates into madness, even more so. Which again, I'm here for.
I'm totally here for it. Let that empire come on crumbling. Keep on crumbling.
It's going to be scary while it's happening, but I'm here for it.
Yep, absolutely here for it. We got any other stories?
I think we got the ear doctor looking to come back up real quick.
That's right. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with some more for y'all. So make sure y'all stay tuned. It's going to be a real quick one.
You got mix coming up. We got over 320 viewers.
Oh,
we definitely getting the mix at the end, son.
No doubt, right here.
It's because of my return.
Yes, 100% exclusively.
Exclusively that.
Remix Morning Show, y'all.
Oh, y'all goddamn now.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That's right. This is the Remix Morning Show. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and all them buttons down there. Go ahead and do that. Listen, we talking about hip hop. This is the breaks I give you. 50 years we celebrate, and right now I wanted to talk about something we got coming up in hip hop news. Guess what? We finally got a date for this right here. This versus right here is going to be Diddy and no other than Jermaine Dupri, September 8th. At Madison Square Garden. We talking about a lot of classic hits going back and forth. That is going to be a hell of a concert. I am not going to front. I'm there for that one. Well, I might not be in there, but I'm there for it. Anyway, I wanted to give a spotlight. Since we're talking about the history of hip hop, we got to also talk about the future of hip hop. So I wanted to give a spotlight on a rapper that's known by the name of LGP, a young bull straight out of Philly. He been doing this joint for a minute. So let's get to it and let's hear what he got to say. All right, let's get it.
I said self-destruction hit it for. Shit ain't getting better for. Building new jails, man, them crackers getting ready for. Kids getting life, so now the parents really stressing for. Where I'm from, niggas down fight, they pull a weapon on. Everything I talk is all facts, this reality. Bullets flying, bodies dropping, and police brutality. They booked a 16-year-old girl, fuck the Commonwealth. How the fuck you give all that time to try to defend yourself? Gangers keep on fucking up their life, I'm getting tired of it. You wanna know the reason? Cause they never had a father figure. I was dead broke, man, I never had a pot to piss. All I ever had was my mom, she always rocking with me. Voice of the youth, so I'ma speak for my community. Everybody hating, why you think it ain't no unity? Old niggas always acting petty, nothing new to me. I was just with you, I end up at your eulogy. The revolution shall be televised, I hope you listen. They bringing back slavery, look at this shit in Libya. Shackles on their feet and their hands, shit ridiculous. Trying to put us back in the field, cotton me picking it. R.I.P. to all of my niggas, moment of silence. Now bring the beat back, cause I just bought it.
Woo! Bloop, 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 bloop. Hip hop is not dead, y'all. These young bulls is out here still putting it down. They might not be on the radio, on the top slots in the billboards, but they out here doing it. Big up to them. The youth keep it moving. All right, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. Yeah.
All right, he rocked that shit. I'm gonna give it to him. Props all day.
Yeah.
The energy, the style, the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? He rocked that. I'm gonna give it to him.
Young bull out of Philly.
He's from where? He's from the East Coast.
Yeah, you know that.
Where,
Probably in New York.
what part of Philly? Do we know?
Oh, here you go.
What? Philly's
What
big
street?
city.
What street? What street?
You know what I'm saying? Y'all in these
Y'all
streets
better
and
stop
blocks.
it.
What are you
Come
from New
on.
York now, Kim?
See, come on now. Y'all know I spent some time in Philadelphia, IA. Don't play with me, man.
What's his name? What's his name again?
LGP.
All right, we got to rock with that.
All right,
Coco, it's just too dark. I'm just telling you now.
Coco, you're fine.
I'm telling you now.
Is my mic working?
Yes,
Yes, it is. It is working.
Okay,
I'm just saying
so
the
at least we're
background.
making progress here. Okay, a little bit of
Okay.
progress. Okay, I'm working on the internet issue.
No, dude, you good? It's good. It's like 65%. I'm just making a general overall statement about. Can you do something? The background. Can you lighten that up? Can you do something? You know,
You
some
want a
brighter
background? Do you have a background? You should use a background. Maybe. I'm just saying.
Don't come for the boogie down Bronx. He'll bring it.
I heard you early this morning. You was talking about my mic. I heard you. I heard you. I heard you.
Get him, Coco. Get him.
Coco, it do sound like a lawnmower is going off in the back of your.
It's my AC. I'm sorry. It's hot. I can't do nothing about that.
Try to leave Coco alone. Coco is here. She is present. Her presence is more than enough. Now y'all doing a whole bunch of nitpicky about her presentation. We're here for Coco's brain, her words, and those things are here, and they are perfect. So Coco,
I
don't
appreciate you, Kim. Thank you.
Niggas. He's hating ass niggas.
Thank you.
Shit.
All right, I'll see you at the end of the show.
Yeah, get out. I'm not here for it because y'all be piling on. I know y'all don't go at other hosts like that.
I think it's a woman's thing. Even Agat came from the background to chastise me about chastity. I was like, well, I can't say nothing about the background. I can't say nothing. I was told
it was the background. It was the sound. You had a checklist.
I do hear the air conditioning now right now. I did hear that. I did hear the conditioning. There you go. There.
Anyway,
Kim, you know you hear that. Well, what we got?
Remixers, thank you all so much for joining us today. It is I, KB, with Coco, and the honorary Kamal K. Franklin with ear doctor slicing them in the background.
Damn, it's cold in here. Turn that AC down.
Shut up. What y'all please. Leave my good sis alone. Leave her alone. Kamal, run that piece from the Associated Press in the email that I sent you.
I got you.
Okay, and this is actually not super recent. This actually came. Actually, no, it was a couple weeks. Actually, last week, May 4th. Embattled first Black St. Louis prosecutor Kim Gardner resigns. I didn't know that she was embattled, but apparently she's been embattled and been embattling. So, hold on. I'm sorry. Let me scroll back up here. It says embattled St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, who is the city's first Black prosecutor and a Democrat, announced on Thursday, like I said, this was published May 4th, that she will resign following allegations of negligence and calls for her ouster by Republican leaders. In a letter to Republican Governor Mike Parson, released by Gardner's office, she said that she will step aside effective June 1st. Parson said in a statement that he would immediately begin looking for a replacement and that he is, quote, committed to finding a candidate who represents the community, values public safety, and can help restore faith in the city's criminal justice system. In St. Louis, good fucking luck. Republican Attorney General Andrew Bailey took legal steps to remove Kim Gardner from office in February. Bailey said that too many cases, including homicides, have gone unpunished under Gardner's watch, and that the victims and their families are left uninformed, and that the prosecutor's offices was too slow to take on cases brought by police. Now, guys, we are talking about St. Louis here, and we know the extent of the corruption, the racial disparities in policing that happen in St. Louis. Gardner said that Bailey's efforts to remove her were politically and racially motivated, a hearing about whether Gardner should be removed had been scheduled for September, but as I said, she has now resigned. Gardner's resignation letter also cited legislative efforts on a bill that would have allowed Parson to appoint a special prosecutor to handle violent crimes, effectively removing the bulk of her responsibilities. That's interesting. It is hard to think of a more direct or brutal assault on our democracy, she wrote. And then she also goes on to say, since day one of my tenure as circuit attorney, I have experienced attacks on my reforms, on my judgment, on my integrity, on my prosecutorial discretion, and on my responsibility to direct limited resources of this office and more, Garner wrote in her letter. Some of these attacks, I'm sorry?
No, go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It says some of these attacks have been designed to stop the office from functioning at the expense of public safety, Garner said. Democratic Center Minority Leader John Rizzo said Gardner called him a few days to help assess the probability of lawmakers passing the bill by their May 12th deadline. I wonder, well, that's tomorrow. Let's see where that goes. To be honest, like, I have not followed too much of Kim Gardner's tenure as the St. Louis Circuit Attorney. I can imagine that she had already had a very tough uphill battle as being the first Black person to hold that office. And I do think that from what I understood, and you guys, if you are familiar, is Craig Bardo in here? Where's St. Louis at? We got some STL people in here. Was she sincere in her reformation efforts? She must have been. That's why they told her to get the fuck out. That's why they tried to put her ass out, because maybe she was actually trying to do a little something. So yeah, that's news coming out of St. Louis. I
was going to say real quickly, I mean, yeah, there's going to be a prosecutor, so you can't get away from the fact there's going to be some prosecutor there. And this goes back to the Trump thing from before. It's like, look, fight for yours, fight for your position. I'm not like you said, I haven't necessarily followed all of her cases to see where she stood, if she's better than some of the other ones. But if she's coming forth as this progressive prosecutor who is not trying to continually charge people the most or find alternatives to incarceration, or she's looking seriously at police brutality, I'm not 100% sure of it. But at the very least, if she's like, you got to fight for that. You can't just give that up. And that, I mean, these Democrats, like, she rolled over. I mean, if they're going to throw you out, make them throw you out with a bang. Be Trump-like, at least on that way. Be like, you're not going to just throw me out. I'm just not going to leave because there's a fight to be had. If this is about the politics of the situation, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call your right-wing ass out on those politics. And then again, like, okay, if folks want to decide that, or we can see you the so-called distorting democracy by going through all these special hearings to have me removed from the position that I seemingly either was appointed to or won through a democratic process, so-called democratic process, I'm going to fight for that position. I'm going to bring everybody. And where's the other Democrats to say I'm fighting with you? Where's the other Democrats in St. Louis or the national Democrats or the state party to be like, oh, hell no. We want this alternative. So as soon as somebody who even has potentially a little bit of politics gets in here and says, we're going to do something different, and the right wing attacks, the Democrats succumb so fast. And so it's hard to take them seriously on anything that's going to move something forward, because they wilt so quickly on these things and revert back to their natural nature, as you said earlier, as this moderate right wing party that's only here for show. And as soon as things get a little hot under the collar, a little tough, then they just back down. And so, maybe she had her own reasons, but resign? I'm not resigning. It's like, you're going to carry me out. Let's just have that fight, B. Let's have that fight.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Coco?
I don't have too many thoughts when it comes down to these things. I'll be honest with you. It's so hard for me to because it's like the Republican and the Democrat, and I get frustrated. So I guess, but I hear you, Kamal. Carry me out, because I'm not going out without a fight. So I hear you on that, and I can see people carrying you out, Kamal, because you be fighting.
Ooh, escorting him out. Security, please meet us at Mr. Franklin's desk.
I can see it. I can see it.
He needs assistance with his boxes.
It just doesn't make sense in terms of like, if you're gonna, again, I mean, I know it's pro forma. Like, I know a lot of it is pro forma. The Democrats are here to ensure imperialism happens, capitalism happens. Republicans are here to ensure imperialism happens and capitalism happens. I get all of that, but I also get the fact that if whatever sliver of democracy is here, if you're going to win people over to something, you got to be able to fight for it. And there are people who use the Democratic Party because that's the tool that seems to be available, right? And, you know, whether or not there could be internal discussions and fights about whether or not that's the appropriate tool. It is one tool in which people who have radical politics use to say, this is a platform that we can use to get into something, but we got to continue to fight and push it left once we get in there. I don't always agree with it, but I respect the idea that folks are going to do it. But if you're going to do it, then you got to do it to its ultimate. You got to play that shit out. Because I'm not signing some paper like, oh, I'm going to resign because it's getting hard, or you don't like me, or you're going to come up with these tools to get rid of me. You know what I mean? I respect, like, and again, I might not agree with all the policies, but those young cats from South Carolina, it's like, you know, no, carry me the fuck out of here. And then I'm going to force the party. I'm sorry, Tennessee. Thank you. And then I'm going to force the party to put me back in right after we come back out. So you're going to have to deal with me again. I'll make you deal with me again. We've created such a stir around this that even once you throw me out, the party folks, the Democratic Party folks, they're almost left with no choice but to reappoint those cats. And I'm sure in the background, there were some of them old stargies who are like, well, they just a little bit too young and hype. Let's get some of our old folks back in there and they'll like settle this down. But I'm sure there was just like, what, are you crazy? There's people at the door if you do that. So you got to create that energy. You know what I mean? She's got to create that energy to be like you got to give me something to fight for. Don't be all like, you know, because it's just the mode of like, you know, acquiescence. I'm just not down for.
So I think honestly, and again, I'm not an expert on gender or power or anything like that. But to me, the fact that this is a Black woman, Nina Turner was a Black woman, India Walton was a Black woman, and those 3 Black women don't seem to have the support of the party of which they were running under, right? But those 3 brothers, those 2 brothers down in Tennessee, Kamala showed up, this one showed up, that one showed up. And it's like, damn, y'all just leaving the Black women out here to fight all by themselves, huh?
I definitely think that's part of it. Yeah. I definitely think that. And I don't know these 2 dudes, their politics. I don't know if at some point they're going to become too left for the party. Like there's some people who are indicating that may be the case. But no, you're 1,000% correct. Those Black women who stood up, that I don't see how come again Nancy Pelosi or the cop Kamala, like for all the sense purposes, shouldn't they have been in Buffalo? That was an erosion of democracy. The Black socialist woman she won your Democratic primary fair and square. Where were you?
Mm-hmm. Even Kamala, you don't want to show up for this Black woman prosecutor, Kamala? Mm-hmm. You don't think that her historical election is not something worth preserving? But the thing is, the Democrats' Achilles heel, where the Republicans will always hammer these Bamas, and the Democrats, as you said, Kamal, will always shrink, is the soft on crime attacks. Like, y'all are soft on crime. Our police are bringing prosecutors these cases, and they don't want to prosecute this, that, and the third. And in response, the Democrats will always move further right. Y'all right. We all soft on crime. Let's get 100,000 more cops on the streets. So we can prove to y'all we not soft on crime.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. All right. So I feel like we got a lot of mainstream. I got one more. Because I don't know if y'all covered this.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just reading the chat.
Did y'all cover the other Clarence Thomas story with the kid in school, the tuition?
I don't think we flushed it out, but it got mentioned somewhere. I don't remember if we actually talked about it here.
So apparently, ProPublica is doing a series of stories on the graft that Clarence Thomas has been collecting. And so the second story they dropped after they dropped the first story, they gave you a little wait date. They were like, oh, you think this is all there is? You think this is all we got on this dude? And then they went, bam, his story number 2. So Clarence Thomas had a child in private school that Harlan Crow, the billionaire, right-wing billionaire, paid to tuition. And again, Thomas did not report the fact that this tuition was paid. So Crow paid for private school for a relative of Thomas, Thomas said he was raising as a son. And it says this is way outside. I mean, at the very least, this is way outside the norm. This is not way outside the norm. This is unethical and should be considered illegal. This should be, he should be prosecuted. Like if you had any system of justice, at the very least removed, if you had any real system of justice, some dude who's getting plane rides, hotel stays, his mama's house was purchased, his adopted grandnephew gets paid to go to school at a private school. This is graft. This is a classic example of someone being purchased. You know what I'm saying?
What school? I'm curious because I'm assuming it has to be local to here, and some of these hoity-toity private schools that these, you know, the offspring of the elite go to, like Sidwell Friends and St. Albans and Gonzaga. Like,
well, he had him up in Georgia, like his home. So it says Supreme Court Justice in 2008 decided to send his teenage grandnephew to Hidden Lake Academy, an interesting name, a private boarding school in the foothills of northern Georgia. The boy, Mark Martin, was far from home for the previous decade. He had lived with the justice and his wife. So sorry about that. In the suburbs of Washington, D.C., Thomas had taken legal custody of Martin when he was 6 years old and had recently told an interviewer he was raising him as his son. Tuition at the boarding school ran more than $6,000 a month, but Thomas did not cover the bill. A bank statement from the school from July 2009, buried in unrelated court filings, showed the source of Martin's tuition payment for the month for the company of billionaire real estate magnate Harlan Crow. And so as the story goes, it's not just the month that he paid for. Crow paid Martin's tuition for the entire time he was a student, which was about a year. And then he gets, there's more because he transfers to another school. And who picks up that tab? Again, the Crow business picks up that tab. And so it says, if he paid the tuition for all 4 years of the two schools, the price tag would have exceeded $150,000, according to public school records of the tuition rates. And there's no reason to believe that he did not pay for that amount of time and that he paid that money out. This is pure bribery and graft, B. I mean, the fact that he is surviving this and it is not a call for him to be removed from the Supreme Court. And again, I think the part of the problem is that once they start looking at all the others, Clarence is just the first, right? He's not like the last, he's not the only, but again, the sloppiness in which it was done, like he's like the most obvious choice to be removed, but they're not removing him because the right wing has control of the court and they're just going to be like looking the other way, and the Democrats going to remain silent. Because then you got to talk about, you know, Hunter Biden and the rest of the Bidens and all the other graft that's happening. Because it's graft all around, but his becomes so obvious that it's like, shut up and let it happen.
It's interesting because there's a lot of talk, especially on like the political news circuits, about the amount of respect and validity that the Supreme Court has amongst the American people. And apparently, according to polling, it's at like a 50-year low. People don't trust the court. People don't respect the court. And, you know, we can point to like this instances of Clarence Thomas getting the bag from one of his billionaire cronies as a further exacerbation of that. But really, this court has been losing credibility. Well, to the point it was ever credible, I guess, is disputable. That it never had no credibility as far as we concerned, especially court cases like Dred Scott and the latter. But coming a little bit more recent day, I mean, this is a court that decided to gut the Voting Rights Act, to eliminate pre-clearance from the Voting Rights Act, which, you know, has put up so many more barriers and challenges to particularly Black folks and brown folks getting access to the ballot box. This is also the same court that put up Citizens United. Well, not the same court. There's some Bamas have been switched out, but still, like in this era of the Supreme Court, this court began to lose legitimacy I think in the eyes of many, starting with those cases, and of course with the last year's ruling about Dobbs, it's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, you cannot be dictating healthcare and bodily autonomy just for women out here. Kiss our ass. But Clarence, the way the right wing is taking up for Clarence out here, there's an attack on a conservative black man. Every time they say that shit just cracks me up. And I'm like, do conservative black men get attacked? Don't they get jobs? Don't they get promoted?
This is one time where Black Lives Matter for them. You know what I'm saying? They'll pull out the slogan Black Lives Matter right now because for them it matters.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that people are focused on the wrong things. I think people are focused on the fact that, oh, he's supposedly the second black man that has a seat, and they're like, you're gonna tear that black man down and all of that. And it's just like, this is unnecessary. Like, these are rulings and court proceedings that affect people's lives, right? And so we're saying that there is corruption. And if there is corruption, then the legitimacy of the court, it should come into question of whether or not the Supreme Court should, even how people are elected to the court, how it coincides with, this Republican versus Democrat. There's absolutely no representation of the people on the court. And I think that really does matter. Being black does not matter, right? It's like, what are you representing for the people? And I think that seriously lacks. I have yet to see a Supreme Court justice that actually represents the people.
Thurgood Marshall.
And yes, and there was some liberalness in that, as well. So I think that there's still some criticism, but I think that, fairly enough, yes, that would probably be the only person you can think of that had some type of representation in a way that, helped people.
And the fact that Clarence Thomas himself was the antithesis of Marshall, you know what I'm saying? Like, Clarence Thomas' appointment to the Supreme Court was really a slap in the face to Thurgood Marshall's legacy, you know what I'm saying? Because Clarence Thomas didn't stand for none of the shit that Thurgood Marshall was out there, getting death threats and, having his shit blowed up behind, you know what I'm saying? Like, so Thomas himself is a poor representation, obviously, of black folks and what our needs and our issues are generally. But I mean, that's what you get when you get a coon. You get a coon. He gonna coon it up, and he gets the perks of cooning.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I just don't think. I think when you work for the U.S. government, I don't think I think no matter who you are and what you represent, I think it still is in the best interest of the United States government. And I don't think no matter which way, whoever gets appointed to these courts is still going to represent the U.S. government and not the people. So I think I just don't think that, again, the Supreme Court is not going to represent the people. And I think we definitely need to refocus that and realize like what would help the people in this case.
No, I think it's understood. I mean, I feel like it's understood that the Supreme Court obviously acts to the dictates of what they think is good for the United States. But it's not like these things don't have real impact on everybody's everyday lives. So like the court has real impact, whether the court decides that abortion is something which has some kind of quote unquote federal protection, or whether it doesn't, has an extreme impact. So it's one thing to dismiss the court as a tool of U.S. imperialism, which of course it always is. But to act as, well, we can't act as if the court doesn't have a tremendous immediate impact on people's lives. And that's the same thing when we talk about these systems of oppression. The impact is so real on our lives that to just say that it's all a tool of U.S. imperialism doesn't necessarily give us a proper analysis about how to think through what the impact is, how to battle the impact, how to fight back against the impact. So I think that's part of the, for me, it's not so much that I'm talking about the court as it's some or has ever been some marker of sanctimonious decision making that we should respect, but the level of graft that comes out needs to be talked about and reported on, so that people have a clear understanding that this how these systems work. The fact that some right-wing Republican has basically brought themselves a Supreme Court judge and there's receipts to show it, and that the system itself decides that instead of acting on that, it continues to hide behind the wall of the so-called supremacy of the Supreme Court and do nothing continually shows us the ways in which the system works and operates. And folks need to see that, understand that, and have conversations about it.
Do you think that there is going to be any efforts by the court to put forth some ethical guidelines, some ethics guidelines for itself? Because they don't have to. And all comments from John Roberts indicate that he don't give a shit. John Roberts said, "Make me, bitch." y'all can't make me do anything.
He's like, I do it without. Yeah, I mean, if there's marches outside of the Supreme Court and folks are calling for it, or there's enough pressure, they might even do a couple like makeshift new rules or improve on the amount of openness that they may have to give. But for the most part, they're gonna ride it out, right? They're not going to do anything substantive because, again, if they did anything substantive, it would have an impact on all 9 of the justices up there. Because, again, if they started in ProPublica or some other news outlet, continued to do follow-up stories and sort of trace the paperwork of some of these other justices, I'm sure for the most part that you're going to find some similarities in terms of particularly this Harlow guy, but I was on the liberal end. Right. Who gets invited to where and what they're getting paid for, and how those decisions get made, right? So the court is not ever about how to overthrow American imperialism or American capitalism. It's about how to reinforce it in a way that seems fair enough for people to live under it and not to revolt against it.
I wonder what the liberal justices are taking. Like, I wonder
vacations.
I wonder what Sonia Sotomayor gets. Where is she going every year?
And even the speaking arrangements, the amount of money they probably get from all that. I'm like, they're getting dough.
I'm sorry,
speaking of somebody who's
but your picture's a little cloudy. I need you to up your technology a little bit. Let's get it together. Okay.
Get him. It is mad lackadaisical over there. It's almost depressing comfortability. But listen, we got a whole bunch of things coming up this week. I heard an announcer say that the other day. I was like, a depressing comfortability. I'm gonna use that. It might not be in the right context, but I'm gonna use it. All right. What we got a bunch of shows coming up this weekend. We about to get up out of here. What you got on anybody's end? Burn It Down, Coco, anything coming up?
Next Tuesday, we are going to be joined here on the Remix Morning Show with the good sis Jaleesa from the ARC Southeast out of Atlanta, because we're going to be talking about Black maternal health. And again, the ARC Southeast is the abortion fund that Burn It Down with Kim Brown as a channel is supporting this month. And we want to talk about the need for these abortion funds and how these draconian anti-abortion laws are having a tremendous detrimental effect on the health of Black women and Black mothers in particular. So that's next Tuesday. Shout out to Dev. Big up Dev for helping facilitate that.
All right. Anything, Coco?
Yeah, so I should be doing something with Kalanji coming up next week. So stay tuned for that. We'll obviously you'll see what's coming up. And then on Wednesday, Confronting Contradictions, I should be doing something. So, like I said, stay tuned. We'll see.
Dope. And continue sending donations so we can come out a new camera, because it's looking mad.
It's the sun. It's the sun thing. It's the sun is coming in from here. There's some light from there.
Low budget right now.
I feel like
you wasn't giving me any excuses. I don't want to hear no excuses on you.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get to this mix right here on the Remix Morning Show.
So I can make us shake that sound. my time to flex right back in the high. Who's next? Get your rump on the floor and start. Work the thing for the total part. Oh, girl, that's why we like the dance trick, cause we all want to splash. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Make you rump and your cooch struck right.
You can't stop. You can't stop. Once again, I'd like to welcome y'all out to the Remix Morning Show as we take you to the weekend. Make sure y'all have a good one. Make sure y'all tell somebody about this is the Remix Morning Show right here on Black Power Media. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Show look good to me. Now would you please swing my way?
Come on.
Shorty, swing my way. I stepped off in the club on a Friday night, looking for a man that'll do me right. First move that I made was on the dance floor, working down one time, then I went for more. Physical action was having that. Saw this young player dip through the crowd, looked over to my left and told my girl, hey, if I see him again, I'ma have to say.